Greetings, readers and travelers, and welcome to another episode of Stats on Stats. My name is Richie Stevens, and I'm the host here for Stats on Stats, a Lit RPG podcast. And joining me today, as always, my best friend and co-host in the entire world, Joel Harvey. Joel, how are we doing today?
That's me. I'm doing fantastic. I'm excited for this episode.
I think we all are excited because this was one I was super nervous about asking to, be an episode. But joining us for the very first time today, but talking about a character we've actually talked about before on our channel, Mr. Dennis Vanderkerken, author of Artorian Archives. Dennis, how are we doing today?
I'm great. I'm glad y'all are doing pretty well.
That is good to hear. And per his request, we will be referring to Dennis as Floof for the episode. So if you hear us say Floof, that's why. So go ahead.
If you're confused, I am cultivating the beard.
We love to hear it. And speaking of cultivation, today we will be discussing the Artorian Archives. We will be mainly focusing on the first 3 books since that is the first big arc. But we might go into a little bit of spoiler territory. As always, we will give a spoiler warning before we go on to that, so that way you can dip out before dipping back in. But let's go ahead and dive in to today's episode. Floof, why don't you give us a little bit of a overall background on the Artorian Archives real quick?
Specifically on the first 3 or like up to
just
13?
Overall, like who is Artorian? What is his premise when we meet him?
In the beginning, what you get is Grandpa. Just Grandpa. And Grandpa's obviously had a long life, and he just wants things to go well by the end of it. But it's book 1. Things do not go well by the end of it. And some people arrive that inconvenience his life greatly, and he takes the equivalent of his hat, throws it on the ground, and goes, "No!" Pulls up his sleeves and go, "What do I need to do to make their day slightly worse? Just slightly. Also, I'm rescuing all my kids, but that is a guarantee!" And then someone goes, "Well, there's magic in the world." "Oh, there's cultivation?" And he goes, "Really? Why don't you tell me everything?" And they're like, No, we shouldn't tell you that." And he's like, "Oh, you're going to tell me. And it's going to be so much fun." And sure enough, through the events of book 1, he sneakily and foxily gets people to tell him tidbits of the magic system so that he can begin building. To the point where he gets enough bits that people are going, "What is that old man doing? Why is he succeeding? What?" And Grandpa Artorian becomes wholesome grandpa, and he goes to rescue his kids and begins going on grand adventures as soon as the problems begin accumulating. And he goes, "Nope, I'm adopting you, I'm adopting you, I'm adopting you. You are now my baby. And what is your problem?" That mountain's a problem right there. That mountain is about to not be a problem. That's Grandpa Artorian. It's never complicated. He just loves you. He wants you to be okay. You're going to be okay. What do you mean there's an exterior force making you not okay? Where would this happen to be? Over there, Grandpa. Good lad. Will you go have fun and play? Make sure you eat a lot. Good. Bye. Turns that way, face goes dark. It is time for business. And suddenly people get flung off a mountain.
All right. Now, with Artorian Archives, this came, of course, after this was written after we were introduced to Artorian in the Divine Dungeon series, but the first 3 books take place before Divine Dungeon, before he gets to Mountaindale.
Correct.
Obviously. He does eventually get to Mountaindale, of course, and in the books we do get to experience that, which is where I really just fall in love because I get to see scenes that we didn't get to see, and it was just really cool. But enough. We're not going to talk about that just yet.
I mean, you can. It's good background information.
Oh,
Divine Dungeon was the story of Dale and Cal going through their path. And in book 4 of Artorian's Archives, we match up with book 4 or 5 of Divine Dungeon. I don't quite recall which one it is.
I think he shows up in 3, like at the end of 3.
Where you meet him as the headmaster of the Fantondale Academy?
I think it's like towards the end of 3.
Yes. And you are correct. The first 3 books are the arc of the preamble, the warm-up, the explanation of how did this person get to this place. So that in books 4, 5, and 6, we have the Cal explanation arc and getting into the soul space and transform realms and giving you all the details that you did not get at the end of Divine Dungeon, where a few thousand fans were going, but we want to know.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay.
And we find out. Now, we'll go ahead and give a little bit of background information on how we, of course, came across the Artorian archives. Myself, I was just scrolling through Audible, and I was like, huh, Axiom. That looks really good. Let me look at it. And I was like, huh, Artorian Archives. Where have I heard that name before? Because that was when I had listened to the Divine Dungeon series from start to finish at the very start of COVID is when I powered through the Divine Dungeon series. So February of 2020. And I was just like, oh, well, what's this? Who is this, humbly old looking person that has a really cool bow? It's Artorian. And I was like, all right, well, gotta send this to Joel because I know what we're gonna read. And then it took me forever to actually listen to the series.
That's okay.
It took me probably a solid 8 months, and at that point, I think 6 of the books were out at that point, and I was like, all right, cool, power through time. And then I powered through. And then I took a break, and then I powered through even more. So I got through the first 5, and then I waited until roughly around Asgard coming out, and then I powered through 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Most people take their sweet time consuming the material. It is rather dense.
What is taking time because I powered through these?
I mean, it's definitely a series that you have to be in the mood for. I think if you know what you're getting into ahead of time, it's way easier to just sit back and be like, all right, let's just enjoy this ride.
Emotional trauma. That is that is how I'm going to describe book 1 is emotional trauma. Rip chopping. Big sad.
It was necessary in book 1 that you understood there was more than one side of the coin.
I get that, but my heart didn't need it.
It gets better.
It does. I can confirm it does. Hey, Joel.
Yeah.
Joel, my buddy, good old pal. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go ahead and I'm gonna say you have a B rank core. We're just gonna say you have a B rank core.
I have a B ranked core?
Yeah, your cultivation
What
core
is-
is B rank.
You're
what
a
does that
beast.
even mean?
You're at B grade. I don't know. Because there's a
Strange.
Cores
negation.
are for beasts.
Oh. Your cultivation, whatever.
He's not a mechanic.
I'm not a mechanics guy. I'm the character development guy.
Well, talk to me about character development. What did you like?
So-
what did you dislike?
Well, first
Who
I
did
was
you
gonna ask Joel. Hey Joel, what did you think of the cultivation mechanics? That's where I was trying to go with it. And it
Sure,
did
let's
not go.
start with.
Hey Joel, what did you think of the cultivation mechanics? Because I obviously don't know mechanics that well.
Yeah, so I love Dakota's world, the mechanics in it. He's just a mad lad when it comes to mechanics. And in Artorian's archives, we definitely get more of the scientific of like how things work. He's a very how does he put it? Not studious, but
He's a philosophy boy because
Yeah.
I'm a philosophy boy.
he's a philosophizer, and he
Philosopher?
I like that word.
philosopher.
There's a whole
Uh,
stone about it.
But yeah, so we definitely dive more into how things work with Artorian's archives, which I absolutely enjoy, especially in book 1, where he's learning how this magic works. And yeah, there's a scene where he's getting this information from the church healers, pretty much. And after he gets the information from the church, there's a guard named Dakota that he sort of talks over the mechanics with, and I'm like,
Scholar.
I definitely feel like, yeah, it's a scholarly talk with this guard, and I'm like, I feel like this actually happened, like with Dakota Kraut and Floof. So yeah.
You are correct. There are several such instances. There are entire conversations happening between Cal and someone else where if I write them, I either was in them or I overheard them or I just held my chin and watched and okay.
Well, that makes sense.
Cal is fleeing from one room to the next. What did you do? Danny? Like, okay, no, I got it handled.
So my question is for you is how is the process of getting the Artorian we start with how to the Artorian we end up, of course, meeting in Divine Dungeon in that series? How are the I'm trying to think of the actual proper phrasing of it because mine go burr. How hard of a process was it to get from point A to point B?
Barely an inconvenience.
Okay. Like, did you have to sit down with Dakota and say, okay, here's what I want to do? Or what's like the process of when you're writing the book?
So that's 4 questions. So I'll answer 2 in one go because that's the easiest one to start with, which begins with Joel and yours.
Okay.
So in the initial writing of Divine Dungeon, Dakota got to about book 3.5 before I got my hands on them. And I read through 1, 2, and 3, and I was sitting there scratching my head and going, something's off. And I puzzled it together. I made my little stack of papers because I was fresh out of my master's degree out of philosophy. So pattern making and making certain everything had sufficient and qualified reasoning, still very fresh in the brain. And we ended up talking, which was very pleasant. And as we planned out this 5-minute talk, it turned into a 3-hour-long talk where what happened was I sort of took his books and pinned them to the wall like dissected insects and went, look, this is everything you did that worked really well. And then I motioned at the other wall and went, there are a few problems I would like to discuss with you, please. And then he went, yeah, I know, I'm working on it. And then I took 30,000 words and just went, I have some potential solutions for you, should you at all be interested. And he looked at it, and he looked back at me. I was like, would you like to write a book? You're very good at this. And I was like, sure, what do you want to do? And he says, well, in 2 weeks, how about we talk again? I was like, okay. What he meant is let's begin talking about writing a book in 2 weeks. What I heard was finish book 1 in 2 weeks. So that's what I did.
Oh my.
So 2 weeks later, after I have done basically nothing but excitedly fix all of the things that have been percolating in my head, just, here's book 1. And he's like, well, okay, this needs a lot of work, but I love what you're doing. If we can pull this apart into multiple books, that would be even better. Because this reads like a technical manual and we can't have that. And I'm like, I agree. What would you like me to do? And like, well, do you still want to write a book? And I was like, sure. How many? And he's like, however many you think will be good. Oh, really? Okay. So currently we're planning 21 plus books of AA. It's a very big Excel sheet and outline. I have material until book 18 where I simply won't run out of things to write or need to think about new material because there's so much already stocked up. And he's planning about 20 books of CC at the moment, and then seeing where it goes from there. So you've got plenty of material coming. But that was the preamble to tell you that when we discussed how to write books, we also talked about how. So when it came to the cultivation system, I asked him all of the questions I had with the holes in the universe and the world, and I got those answers directly from him. As soon as I had those key points in the universe, I was able to build the rest from those keystones, mostly unrestrained.
Oh wow.
So book 1 officially came out a couple months after the last book of Divine Dungeon came out.
Okay.
So I have all of Divine Dungeon's knowledge to implement in the beginning of Artorian's Archive series moving forwards. So when it came to information on how things work, that was never a problem for me because I had everything Dakota had and more. So if you're asking me how did Artorian develop from this unassuming, powerless old grandpa that really just wanted the best for his grandkids into this love-bound mage who just adores everyone and wants the world to heal and learn, very conveniently on my end. Because all I had to do was see the specific points in space-time, like, okay, this, and this must happen. So long as those points happen, what happens between is just for fun. And then I turned to the fans and went, hey y'all really like Divine Dungeon? And they went, yeah! What did you want to see more about Divine Dungeon? And a 90% majority of the fans came back and told us exactly the same thing. They went, guys, what we love about your series is living in your series. We like pretending to be characters in this world, going through the motions, going through the processes, enjoying living in the setting, having all of these toys to deal with, give us these snippets and tidbits so that we can be people in the setting, daydream, talk, D&D, games, settings, enjoyment. And Dakota's like, well, I can't go back to DD now. I have Completionist Chronicles to write. And he looked at me and like, do you think you can do this? And I was like, do I think I can do this? My friend, I will feed the hungry children. I will feed them all. Have them tell me everything they need, my child. I shall make them fat and happy. And that is why, through the majority of Artorian's archives, there is so much explanation on how the world works, and how the world of Divine Dungeon works, and later on, as the books go, how the world of Completionist Chronicles works, so that you have all those base building blocks, and the fans can come back and go, I know exactly what I'm doing and how I would like to do it, and now I can gush and be involved, and come to the server, and come to the Discord, and being part of the community, and I'm so happy. And entire gaming groups have risen up out of this and are just having so much fun using this material to live and experience in the world. So I completely understand everyone that tells me, hey, I really love the mechanics. Because I made it for them. I wanted you to have it. I wanted you to have the essence, the particles, the cultivation techniques, the particular swirls of the motion, the insides of the body, how it works outside, the different stages, how they interact, what not to do by letting my character go through a lot of mistakes and flaws, and giving him a character that can grab him by the ear and go, you dumb little... Stop that. Just stop that. But it's so much fun. Stop that. 90% of that is fans giving me ideas like, hey, what do you think would happen if X and Y? And I'm like, now I have to address it. More than one people is think about this particular problem. What do you mean you want to merge your separate presence aura fields before the mage rank? That would kill you. No, it wouldn't. Give me what you think. Why? Yeah, yes? Oh, well, and giant ideas just pour out of the Discord of dozens of people, and I'm like, I will write this for you. So you see exactly where you would explode and why. And you can keep enjoying your series because I do not want your series to stop, but you have all died 17 times in the course of this conversation. And I need to explain to you why. And they're like, yeah! And I'm like, I'm so glad you're happy. I don't want to dash your dreams. And I'm like, no. Give us everything, Master Floof. And I'm like, I'll go teach them. They're like, Sheeple! I'm like, all right, my friends. So I just go write more. And it happens to be the case for questions 3 and 4 that in the process of writing, I also happen to, by accident, be skilled at how to inform people on how to live a better life and to process trauma and difficult events when you normally don't have the tools to do so. That made it into the book somehow. Because I did not expect people to pick the books up and go, I am crying! I am weeping! The
Well-
enemy have got me, Floof! And I'm like, what happened? Why are you crying? Chappie! How could you? Like, but that was necessary so that you could understand that this is not just a man that will sit there and let things happen. He will make things better even if it's a terrible decision. You still have to make the decision. But I'm crying, Master Fluff, and like, my son, come, hug, tap. Okay. Now come with me, my baby. Yeah, come with me. You sit here. I'm going to put a blanket around you and rub your head, give you some milk. Okay, I'm going to hold you. Now, what is wrong? Okay. And then in book 2, and then you continued in book 3, the giant weeping crocodile tears. Okay, I understand. And you're saying that this is a pattern for the entire book? So yes! How could you do this to me? And I'm like, but did you learn? Yes, I learned so much. Do you feel better knowing? Oh, so much. How do you feel as a person? You have made me a better person with your books. How could you do this to me? I refuse to stop. I don't want you to stop. Okay. That is all 4 questions answered. Thank you for letting me go on an amusing little.
Oh no, that was perfect.
dramatic.
And this goes for our audio listeners only. If you are not watching the VOD of this, you are missing out because that was very animated, and I loved every second of it. And
Much like Artorian, I speak with my hands.
and there's nothing wrong with that. I do want to point out really quickly, if you are interested in reading this series that we are talking about today and haven't started it already, if you head over to Kindle, Artorian Archives Omnibus Books 1 through 3, a Divine Dungeon series, Artorian Archives book box set, the first box set, has the first 3 books. And it's awesome. And it is in part of the Kindle Unlimited series, or you can purchase it for $9.99. 992 pages. Awesome, because it's 3 books in one. So you're getting close to 1,000 pages of content, which probably in text form, it's probably over 1,000 pages.
It's a lot. I'm glad y'all like the bundle. Yeah, 4, 5, and 6 should be bundled shortly. The plan is to bundle all of them in 3s because the series are written to be in 3s. 1, 2, and 3 are together. 4, 5, 6 are together. 7, 8, 9 are together, and such.
And the box set for the first is on Audible, right? The first box set is,
Yeah.
I think so.
believe
It
so.
is. I saw that.
Which is probably sitting at, I don't know, I'm going to say probably a good, I'm going to say 32 hours before I even look.
It's quite a while. It's a good bit of enjoyment. It's a lot of wholesome grandpa going through the world. And
I
the
was
best part
close.
of the series is that if you have a question or you think something goes unanswered, oh, it doesn't. Everything gets wrapped.
So
Because if something doesn't get wrapped, the fans come to me in the server screeching like goblins breaking a wall down with their warhammers out, going, there is a loose end! And I'm like, where is the loose end? Right here! And I'm like, give me the hammer. Put that away. Give me the thing. Thank you. What is the loose end here? This thing! You know what? You are correct. This is a loose end. It is now in book 13. And they're like, we helped. And I'm like, I'm so glad you helped. Are you happy? Yeah! Yeah! Like, this makes me very happy.
So I was wrong. I actually sold it short. The first box set is 36 hours and 56 minutes. So just a
Outstanding.
few minutes shy of 37 hours, which is a lot of content and a lot of good stuff too. It's good. It's really good. Hence why we're talking about it on the show. So with me, I really like the emotional turmoil and everything, the character development and progression for said characters is where I really shine with taking a liking to.
And there are
Artorian,
a lot of powerful scenes.
there are quite a few powerful scenes, and there is one that really stuck out to me, and I actually already told Dennis about this when I got to talk with him a couple weeks ago for the first time. But that's not till book 5, so I won't be discussing that until the very end, so I can put up a big spoiler warning, because if you watch the episode where we had Travis Baldry on, how I yelled at Travis for making me cry in the middle of the store, it's going to be kind of like that again, except I'm not actually going to yell at Floof. It's going to be all addressed at Travis.
Currently, the only spoiler warning would be for book 10. Everything else I'm not too fussed about. So if you want to do all of them, bud, you do all of them. I'm writing book 13 right now.
I don't know if I... Let's see. Hold on.
That is an excellent expression.
Clock. What time is it? Okay.
How long are we gonna...
Okay, yeah, we don't have that kind of time. We're going to have to do another episode for that one. I feel like we should probably do kind of like the box sets. Do arc.
That's very fun. All right, so which one would you like to talk about?
So the scene I'm referring to is, of course, in book 5, but I'll just address that at the end just because it's really good, and
Sure.
the emotional trauma behind that scene for me and Travis's performance. The writing, perfect.
So,
Joel.
I know a powerful scene we could talk about.
Ooh, Joel,
Go
what
for
scene
it.
is that powerful scene? I swear if it's choppy.
No. And that's definitely a powerful scene. But what comes to mind to me is whenever he interrogates the
Ooh.
Raiders, church captures.
When he's trying to figure out where the kids are.
Starts snapping necks.
The snapping.
Yeah, the snapping, yes.
Yeah, that is a very brutal moment, and also kind of gives us a little bit of a take of Artorian before he was the Elder, because
We all used to be something else.
Sonny, our boy Artorian, good old Sonny, is a very scary dude, but he is the most loving grandpa ever, and I love him, and I want to give him a hug. I
He
just
would
want to give...
probably not mind one bit.
Yeah, that to me that was just like a very powerful moment where we get to see Artorian in like this like a different version of Artorian for the first time, and the way that Travis performed was very powerful. Sorry, did I cut out there?
You cut out there for a second, but I heard the way Travis
I heard it.
performed is very powerful.
Yeah.
It was very, very
And
powerful.
what detail about that scene did you want to discuss?
Just
You're cutting.
the way you revealed that side of Artorian, your writing and Travis's performance.
Well, I can't help you with Travis's performance. The man does as he pleases, and he tries to do the best for all the work he is involved in. So
And he does a good job.
if y'all liked what Travis did, I'm so happy. But I obviously can't speak on that. That's something for Travis to have agency over. As per the writing of the scene, well, that came rather easily, because at book 1, what the reader has is old elderly grandpa just trundling through the end of life trying to make it, and then flipping over to begin cultivation and redo the bell curve of power. I have the full backstory of everything that happened before he got to the point in the fringe, which you will get chapters of as the books go in flashback sequences during his mage process. Because he has things he needs to work through, like everyone does.
Mm-hmm.
So when he enters the tent of the Raiders, I believe either beforehand or immediately after, there is a discussion that he has with the leaders of the encampment of why he was able to do it. And that is how he categorizes good and bad people. and whether they would or would not do otherwise given other circumstances. So when he entered that tent, he was not entering a tent of respectable people that were willing to have discourse with him. He was entering a tent of individuals that had purposefully made the choice in life to be as horrible as possible to everyone around them purely for their own self-betterment, without a care in the world for anyone else. All the devastation and pillaging they caused, that is not good on the morality resume, my son.
Yeah.
So he looked at them and he went, no, I'm only getting these people to talk one way, and that is if I speak their language. And what is their language? Their language is not of words. Their language is of consequences. So I will show them consequences. So he walks up to one that he can immediately just tell is guilty. One down, walks to the next one. Two down, walks to the third one, and now the Raiders have to take the initiative and go, whoa. This is not the script we are supposed to be playing out. What? But Artorian already knows this is the way it must be in order for me to progress. These people are, at best, scum. Save maybe one or two of them, and those one or two I can suss out and help get out of this terrible situation. Not everyone chooses this lifestyle. No way. And he finds them. And that guy gets to leave. And everyone else, well, the cookie crumbles.
And by cookies, you mean next wink. Yeah, that was a really brutal scene and a huge change up because, like, the first, I guess, kind of really humble scene we get with Artorian is at the very beginning when he's talking to all the kids, and they have the leaf. They're trying to argue over which one gets the better leaf
The cup.
or the cup.
The better cup, yeah.
And
the leaf is the reward.
That's right. Anxiety brain is go burr today.
Oh, you're totally all right. Yes, the cup.
So
The cup to explain that power does not equate to moral righteousness.
and it's a really, really good scene and a really good lesson point. And then we get brutal, angry Artorian of don't mess with my kids.
Don't mess with the babies.
No, the babies are the babies are very, very important.
And then they mess with the babies. Shouldn't have did that.
No. I will say that, it really does set the tone of the book when he finds Choppy, because I was not ready for it. And I was actually driving home from work and I had to pull over and I was like, oh my God. By the great celestial cow, what did I just hear?
For all of the listeners that have not yet delved into the books and currently aren't watching the podcast, Choppy is a character in the book that was the sweetest, most gentle giant of a person that I've known in real life, and this person happened to be autistic. He had the I don't actually know what it's called at the moment, but the flat-faced features, very, very energetic, loved power focusing on one specific thing. And he had all of the traits that I give Choppy. And when I asked him, hey, if I put you in the book, what do you think should happen? And he's like, I want to chop wood. I want to chop wood, the best wood there's ever been chopped. He was like, you got it, buddy. And then he passed away. And it was rough. So I went, okay. The man passed away. But I refuse not to let him go as easily, quickly, and quietly as possible, with as much comfort as I can give him. so that is what I will give him.
It's a very powerful scene, and I'm getting a little emotional thinking about it. This series has the emotional turmoil, and that's what I love. That's what I strive for. Those are the series that really just they hit home for me, and I don't think there's a book in Mountaindale in general, in Mountaindale Press, that hits me as hard as this one.
I will take it as a pleasant compliment.
It is a compliment, because like if a book, movie, or game makes me cry, I walk out of there and I'm like, yeah, that's what I live for. I live because
Yes.
it makes me feel, because I've grown
Please
very
continue.
numb over the past few years, and just working through the pandemic has kind of hardened me, I guess.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of things that has to do with the Artorian archives that make me very happy.
Mhm.
Before I moved out to Colorado, where I'm currently residing, my grandfather passed away, which I took very hard. And you can ask Joel, I was very close with my grandpa. Artorian reminds me a lot of my grandpa in many ways. So that's where I love the series. I get to connect with that.
Everyone eventually loses someone.
Mm-hmm.
Dealing with that is difficult. There are a myriad of ways suffering can be experienced, and very few people have coping mechanisms that function as hard as they would like. The Artorian Archive series does a decent job of giving you more of these tools for you to cope and be okay. I got dozens of messages per day every time a new book is released of people telling me, hey, you tore my heart out and presented it to me on a silver platter so that I could give it back to you and go, please, sir, may I have some more? Because in addition to ripping my heart out, you told me how to heal it. More. I keep it in.
It does a really good job. And I mean, Book 10 just dropped a couple weeks ago, which I messaged you, I think, 2 days after the release to ask you to be on the show? Yeah, it was in that time frame. I had finished it in one sitting.
That is
I
intense.
very rarely do that.
The book was meant for like a day of 3 of meandered reading from how dense it was.
Yep.
Specifically, the early chapters were nothing but fan requests of big problematic system explanations. So you got it, and we delved nice and deep. And most people went, okay, hold on. Everything I just learned blew my mind. I gotta stop and pause. And then they continued and like, yay, action, yay!
And
And then
then
they got the end and went, boss fight, boss fight, boss fight!
well, and I mean, after, Barry gets forked. I love that pun, by the way. I can't get over that pun. I love it so much. There's a lot of stuff that happens, but that's not where we're going with this. No, I finished it in one sitting, because
I'm so glad you did.
these books are my escape, and I've been very open about that on the show before, that when I dive into these books, they are my escape from reality and kind of put me in the mindset of, okay, let me get this objective done so I can go and enjoy more content. That's kind of how I look at them.
So we're meandering too much. Joel, get us back on track,
Yeah.
please, buddy.
Yeah, Joel, you're good at that.
Sure. Let's talk about cultivation.
Cultivation.
Because there's a lot of like mind-blowing way that the magic works, and we haven't really talked about that yet. I mean, we did a little, but
No, please do. Just discuss what you would like to know.
yeah. So one thing that we get in Artorian's archives that we don't really get in Dungeonborn is the way that you gain affinities naturally.
Mhm.
So how did that come about? Like, how did you say, oh, that's how I want this to be?
So this is where the philosophy master's degree comes into play. Because when you're talking about systems and mechanics of a universe, they have to work internally consistent always and everywhere. So if you have this tiny particle of a thing, you must have a large version of this thing. Or you can't have the tiny version of the thing. So in order for a piece of celestial essence to exist as a real and constant thing in the universe, it means that this particle needs a source, it needs an origin, and it needs a reason to exist and a function of how to interact with the rest of the world in a fashion that is concise and consistent with everything else going on. This particle does one thing for one or multiple reasons, always and forever. Cannot be different. So I sat down with Dakota and we upscaled it. Well, if this energy exists, where does it come from? What do we do with it? How did it come to be? And thus we got to the concept of planes. If we are on a plane of existence that is the real, the current, and the concurrent of time is happening as normal and everything's physical and real and physics are a thing, and we have this energy amending our physical existence. Where from? So we just looked at a book and well, what if this page, and we just grabbed the middle of a page of a book, what if this page is us? And I grabbed the page above it. What if this page is the celestial layer? Here is where all the celestial energy comes from. And because it touches our page, things transfer up and down. You know, if you put a drop of water on this book, the water's going to go from one page into the other page. It's going to seep through. And then what if you had another page from below the book? What if we make this infernal essence? You're like, oh, yeah, okay. And it's an entire plane of nothing but this stuff with its own rules of functioning. And then we looked at the book and like, well, what about all of these other pages? And like, well, fire, earth, water, air, easy peasy. Everyone likes that. Everyone understands that. It's a very common trope that people consume very happily. I'm like, okay, no, more than happy to use it and give it to people. And then we looked at the book and went, but we have so many other layers left. And he looked at me and like, can you? And I'm like, yeah, yes, bud.
Ooh.
Yes. And I took the book and like, not only all of the pages of this book, but all of the pages of every book can and will be explained. For it is not difficult. It is not difficult to me at all. So because you have multiple layers of existence all crisscrossing and touching at certain points and interacting with one another, you have the essence of the world pouring into our plane of existence, giving us our magic system. Because this energy is by nature malleable, it wants to change. When it touches something that does not want to change, it goes, no, I'm with you now. So Earth essence touches stone, you now get granite, crystals, gemstones. It changes to be part of the pre-existing will of the land. But when you come in contact with something that is also malleable and can change its mind on what to do, now suddenly energy goes, oh, you want me to be a fireball? Well, if you can explain or imagine or you like give me the idea of what this is, yeah, I can do that for you. Yeah, I would love to change. Fireball. Fire essence goes, wee! I did good. Win.
We love
But
to see
generally,
it.
people don't go that deep, and they just go, "Oh, this energy exists, and it makes me healthier and better and stronger. I want to retain this within myself to be better and stronger and healthier for longer." And then we came to the conclusion as well: what happens when your body can no longer, like a battery, hold more than the energy that it is containing? What if you are then made of nothing but this energy because you have replaced yourself with an ever more efficient manner of holding more? Do you go boom and we're like, nah, that's no fun. That doesn't make a good story. What if you ascend to a different type of being because all of this energy is traded out to something else that is also a function of the universe, and we just trade up that way? Mages. And then we went, okay, can we do this again? Yes, incarnates. Can we do this again? Sure can. Heavenlies. Wait, aren't those the laws of the world? We gotta put them somewhere.
Fair enough.
And for every step of this ladder, there is a big universal explanation of something else interacting with X interacts with Y, and it trickles down to the small things. And then you experience the small things giving you confusion and questions of, well, how does this actually work? And you can puzzle it out with the small things. But for the few people that have the ability to look up and go, that's the culprit right there, that's what most people actually need. And there's Artorian for you.
Pages and pages of content.
How sufficiently does that answer your question, Joel? And where would you like to redirect from for specifics?
Yeah, no. So I kind of have two questions from that. I guess
Only two?
one. Well, one of them is so do we have a complete tower?
Yes and no.
Yes and
The
no.
tower is complete by requisite property. It must be complete in the story in order to function as it does. Once a Zenith rank C ranker goes into the tower and trades out all of their essence for a bit of mana, and they go up and they go, okay, what concept works for me? If someone, like a reader, wants to go, well, I really like the number 333. That's my number. I go, no problem. What's your favorite concept, bud? And they go, well, I really like hyacinth flowers. That's my thing. I know it's like, no, 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 no. Not only is it not silly, on floor 333, the concept of flowers now exists. Plunk. That's there for you. Because I have multiple thousands of them to fill. And I can already rearrange them at will. Hush. So, given that I already am able to rearrange them at will to clean them up, which I do in Book 13, you get the new list of the first 15 floors that are mostly what you know, just cleaned up and in an actual list format all in one go. Aside from the ones that are interacted with in the book, most of the tower is very flexible. They're there, but we've got wiggle room. That way, if I get a fan that is really sick, or a fan that, you know, provides really cool art to the Discord, or just is really active and a great member of the community and wonderful and supportive, I'm like, hey bud, Mir, sit. What's your favorite number under 700? I was like, oh, 210, easy. What's your thing? What's your favorite thing? Oh, I really love wheels and bicycles. I've just got a thing for things turning. Turbulence specifically. So turbulence, the law, on floor 210. I'm like, oh, you would do that for me, and I'm like, it's already there now. This is how we do, bud. Ta-da! And I'm like,
Love it.
and they're happy, and I love it. This is great. This is wonderful. And in the meanwhile, people can go to the beginning of the tower and go, okay, I'm having a lot of trouble with the concept. I don't really know how this works. Well, you've got the basic 6 on the ground floor, and then depending on the track you're on, you've got other options, but, you know, go to floor 2. Maybe you like Holy Fire specifically as a derivative. Maybe you're really big into seeing things melt for some reason. Acid. There you go, bud. Okay. I'm not gonna judge if that's the very specific concept that you want to devote your existence to and delve deeper into, like, you know, humans are prone to do when they find something they become obsessed with. That one little nugget of truth of like, no, that is my thing. Infernal Essence just goes, you are my friend, you are my friend, and just joins the party and has a good time with you. And the laws are like, oh, no, this is totally what we're about. Come on. If we are completely about you dedicating yourself to one thing that you are completely and totally over the moon with, come spend eternity with us on this one particular thing. We will have giant discussions about it. Everyone has a good time. It's like hanging out with a group of friends that are all interested in the exact same thing and exactly as laser focused. It's great! Your next question, please, Joel.
Yeah, sure. So another huge part of the mechanics is so living out your life, you sort of passively align yourself with different affinities, like your affinity channels open. And so like say your celestial affinity channel opens, then through like some event or whatever, and that affects you fundamentally as a person to be like, oh, I'm more like I'm better than everyone else, or like
I see.
yeah,
I believe what you're asking me is the natural gain of affinity channels based on activity as you go through life.
yeah,
So the layers of existence have personalities. They have ways that they accept that reality exists. And when you as a person are moving through life and you are acting in tandem with the beliefs of one of these energy types, that energy type looks at you and goes, you, hey, me, you, we're the same. I'm going to stick with you. Because if you're active and angry kind of a lot of the time and you can't get rid of it and you're trying to process it, but it's difficult, Fire Essence is going to put its arm around your neck and go, hey, I don't know about you, but those dwarves look an awful look. You want to go brawl and drink some and play some cards? And if you're more of a diplomat, if you're calmer, if you're fluid through situations, Water Essence is going to go, I'm gonna slide into the chair next to you, and oh, we're going to be great friends. Oh, we're already great friends. Yeah, I knew it. It's because we're in the same bend of the river, my boat. Same bend of the river. And they all have particular ways of being where if you as a person living through this particular book reality do certain things or act certain ways, the energies that agree with you are going to mesh with you. And if you mesh with them well enough, an affinity channel is created in you so they have easier access to you. What that actually means for you is you have easier access to them. And since you can only really see it from a personal perspective, it is always a perspective, I have a fire affinity, therefore I'm a fire user. In actuality, you are the kind of person and personality that does things in the way that fire wants to act. You are simply the agency that it does not have, because most essences are neither sentient nor sapient. They just have a particular inclination on which direction to go. So as you go through life and you gain more experiences, you change as a person. You become different. Different things become important. Where once you were angry all the time, now you have it under control. Now you're measured and calm and steady and down to earth. And Earth Essence starts to look at you and goes, no, 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 no. I know that that's your boy, but he's speaking my language. I'm joining the party. And Earth Essence now develops in you, and now you have fire and earth. And now they look at each other and like, are we gonna have a problem? And Fire's like, we already had a problem from the start. You didn't need to be here. And Earth goes, oh, well, all right. No, let's get going. And that's how most dwarves do.
Shout out to the dwarves.
Different dwarves are so much fun. Different combinations of energy channels just give rise to different, more extreme personality types. You had that personality to begin with, but Essence is an amplifier. It tries to empower you and change you and make you better. It wants to give itself to you and change for you. And if you're already inclined to do it to a very specific set of things, it just wants to make you better at that specific set of things. Infernal and Celestial are understandably a little complicated. Fire, earth, water, air, very common lore in media. You've got the gist of what they do. They've got positive effects, they've got negative effects. Because for all the energy that fire gives you, if it makes you angry doing so, that's not great in every social situation where you need to have energy. Not great. If you're too lethargic, not great all the time, wonderful for resting and making sure you end up being okay. If you're too flighty all the time, great for getting places, terrible for keeping up with people. Bonuses with the downsides. Essence just amplifies what's there. That's the point. Celestial and Infernal, though. You're caught up on book 10? Okay. Joel, did Book 10 properly give you the third attempt at an explanation of how Celestial and Infernal actually work? Because I know they're the outliers. Yes or no?
From my understanding,
Spoiler warning, spoiler
Infernal,
warning, spoiler warning. Just for our listeners who have not listened yet.
Yeah, sorry. So from my understanding, Infernal has a lot to do with hyper focusing, and sort of wanting to perfect one thing at the risk of ignoring everything else. And that has like positive and negative connotations, where Celestial has more to do with I want to be better, and I want that because I want the things around me to think that I'm better, I guess.
Oh dear.
Does that make... Or am I off, like way off?
The answer to the question is no,
Okay.
and I'm terribly sorry. I will put it in another book. I will try again. Infernal.
Joel will get there.
Infernal
Or they
came
can
first.
just watch our station and they'll get it now.
Cultivation came second. Sorry, Celestial came second. Words. Say that you are holding an apple. Apple in the hand, imaginary apple. And you wanted to know everything there was possible to know about this apple. If you had infernal essence, you could consume the apple down to the atom. And because you consumed it with infernal essence, you now know everything about this apple. Its makeup, its structure, its flavor, its design, its crust, how thick it was, why it was that thick, why it was this color, how the stem worked, how the seeds work, everything. But it is meant specifically to break things down so that you can understand them better, because you are trying to focus on a single point of understanding. One idea is what you are pinpointing to go, I want more on this. Now you know everything about an apple, but you can't do anything about it. Celestial is having this empty hand and going, I'm putting apple seeds in my hand. I need an apple. Celestial goes, well, you know how it works, and because you know all the details of how it works, we can impose that order on the universe, and those seeds are now an apple, because this is how Celestial functions. It doesn't restore so much as it goes, this is how this particular state of being is supposed to be, and we are restoring it to that code. If you're holding a hard drive on a computer and Celestial Essence looks at it, it goes, I love that thing. It's very ordered and structured and knows exactly what it's about every step of the way. We now have two. I made one. This is made of a codified thing that exists in the universe. I can make that. I can restore that. Crack, the original one breaks, Celestial goes, no. I know the pattern of what it is supposed to be. We have restored the pattern of what this thing is supposed to be. It is now whole again. But it is whole to the pattern that Celestial Essence thinks it should be. Which is why when someone uses it, they become a little bit haughty, because Celestial is telling them, don't worry, man. We know how all things are supposed to be. And when you know how something is supposed to be, that gives you a sense of self-empowerment. You have knowledge on things. You have certainty on things. Not just the right way to do this, but the only right way to do this. So you look at a person and go, there's one right way for you to be, as a response reaction, not because you necessarily actually think that, but because with an excess of influence by this energy, you begin thinking that way. If you have access to the code of the universe, and you can at will go, that's broken, I'm restoring it to factory setting, wouldn't you feel particularly powerful and self-assured?
Yeah.
Infernal just goes, that's cute code. I don't understand it. RIP! Num 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 num. I understand it now. And Celestial goes, I needed that. And Infernal goes, yes, but now I understand it. I can do that better than you now. And I can do it differently. And Celestial goes, no! There was one way that was supposed to be done. It was like that. And now Infernal Essence is holding, I made a glowing gem apple. It glows in the dark and makes you healthy and counts as a health potion. And tastes like strawberries. And Celestial goes, it's an apple. And Infernal goes, oh, this guy had a great idea and I did it. I loved it. I just here to help. He had a passion and whoom, I went with it. Happy noises. There's roughly the difference.
Okay.
Celestial is trying to put its particular perspective of how the universe should be into place. Infernal is generally seen as a very negative thing because when a person sees Infernal being used, oh god, that person just consumed that entire horse with black fire. My horse! He particleized my horse! Oh god, the tree! The apple! My house! Not my cow! My cow! Dishonor on your cow! Oh no, he's coming for me! Run! You see people taking things apart like it's nothing. That's kinda scary. Not good feeling. You see a person putting things back. Oh, thank God, that's a healer. I can trust that one. That's psychology at play. That has nothing to do with the functions of the energy of a universe. That's just people interacting and how they see it and respond to things. The psychology layer is fighting the events and the truth of things, which is how you get the dichotomy of the misunderstandings. Thus the explanations in AA.
Gotcha.
What's wrong, Rich? You made a face.
No, I was just like, it's starting to click, so that's why I was like, oh, okay.
So, if I were to make an example, infernal energy might be from Elon Musk in the way he sort of goes about making new things. He'll take it down to the most fundamental level and rebuild it better. Would be more infernal, or celestial is more I don't know, car manufacturers, where they're oh hey, this is I don't. Are you getting what I'm putting down?
I'm waiting for you to be done with your question.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're all good, man.
Yeah,
You
so
take
it's
your
more
time.
Car manufacturers were okay, this is how cars are supposed to be. Take it, be happy. We'll make another one. It's that sort of.
Roughly.
Yeah.
So with Infernal, when you align yourself to Infernal, what that actually means, say in the case of Mr. Musk, is he is hyper-focused on technology and the advancement of it. This is his one core focus. We can make things to make other things better. Sure. I know there's going to be lots of opinions around that. People will disagree with me. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that the focus of this one person is to make technology to make things better. Everything else has to come second. A person like this exists in the world. This is who we're talking about. A name can be attached later. This person has infernal essence. They are taking one specific idea and they are trying to reach the pinnacle. The same is true for everyone trying to reach a PhD or trying to make a breakthrough in an existing field. Something new in a big field that makes a tiny dent of increase for the greater whole. That tiny dent of increase, that tiny bit of new knowledge for everyone, that's what infernal energy looks for. If you want to strive for the utmost of a peak, infernal essence looks at you and goes, I am with you all the way. I want that. New knowledge. Let's go. You align with celestial essence, honestly, when you're in a pretty bad place. When you are down in the dumps and down on your luck and you feel like there's nothing else left, and you reach for help when you think there's no help to be found, Celestial looks at you and just kindly asks, would you like to be restored to the pattern you were supposed to be a bit more? Hmm? And if you say yes, you have given Celestial Essence permission to be part of you and guide you, not always gently, onto a path that Celestial Essence wants you to go. Because it goes, well, that's the pattern you were supposed to be in life. Shall we go that way? Hmm? You've got nothing else going on. I will happily let go if you say no. There's no problems on my end. No. Your agency, bud. All your agency. I do nothing without your permission. Nothing. And if the person says, yes, I need help. Oh God, I need help. Please help. Celestial goes, I got you. We're going that way. I got a direction for you. It's gonna be okay. And it imposes upon you a direction and a purpose.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think that answers my question. Rich, was there something
We
You
are
wanted to
running a
talk
little
about that?
short on time, so I am going to do my one thing that I wanted to talk about, which is a
Let's go.
spoiler for book 5.
Spoiler for book 5.
And this is the scene that broke me harder than any scene. Will I get in trouble if I read a short little
No,
paragraph?
go for it.
Okay, cool.
You have the author's permission. You're fine.
So there's a scene where Artorian is talking with Cal,
Mhm.
and he's going over the different laws of the different types of love. And
Yes, the back of the hand
Can-
ascension.
yes.
Can we get some backstory a little bit?
So I don't want to give too much away. I just want to talk about this one scene really quickly.
I can
but
happily
Okay.
give you a short snippet as
Yeah.
a preamble to
Go
lead
ahead.
up for your
Sure.
moment.
Go ahead.
yeah.
So in book 5, Artorian is the administrator of the realm functioning in Cal, because Cal is trying to make a world because he's immortal and everyone is stuck in him, and he's getting very bored and he wants to do something with his time. So he has a bunch of ideas because it's Cal. He has a ton of ideas.
And he's a madman.
And in the pursuit of his many ideas, he focuses on the things he wants to do over the people that are living in the space that they are literally stuck in. And it becomes apparent when Cal is explaining a problem to Artorian that what Cal is trying to do is not help people, he's trying to solve a problem, as if people are a problem to be solved. And as an ascendant of the concept of love, with all its great implications, Artorian's like, he's not listening to me. He's not looking at me. He's not paying attention to my words. I need to make him pay attention to my words, or this is going to go to a deep, dark place, and we can't have that.
Mhm.
So he looks at all of his available options of how to turn that around, and he goes, there is one instance in everything that I have messed up over my many years of misadventures that has inconvenienced Cal. And that is when he ranks up as a mage, Cal feels like he's punched in the stomach and gets indigestion. So how can Artorian both get Cal's attention and get him to listen at the same time and make Cal realize that this is serious? Well, there's a mechanism involved for improving yourself as a mage in the B ranks. It's not the same as the A ranks, but it's very specific in the B ranks, and that is you have to prove to the concept you are bound to that you know and understand the concept you are talking about and want to strive for. Rich, go for it.
He moved onwards and continued, trying not to sound bitter. Then there's the love. There is the love which sparks and grabs your heart unaware, the one that drags you to your knees and doesn't pull the thorns free. The feeling that strikes you when you see someone and you just know. The impact of infatuation to someone who can suddenly break your heart in the easiest way with but a whisper and a word, and yet you'd return without further thought if it meant spending time with them again. You'd give them everything, as only such a person could make you feel this way. Even if, most of the time, the obsessive love can only betray you. That one hit hard. That one hit really hard. He goes over all these different loves about, love of the body, love for oneself, and then
brotherly love, love for a child. There are an innumerable amounts of types of love, ways of interacting with the concept, ways of understanding the concept. Most people get stuck at the very beginning, which is physical intimacy between people, and go, no. But there is that is the snowflake on the tip of the iceberg that people shine a spotlight on and go, look, love. And the rest of the iceberg is still a mountain above ground and a giant monstrosity below the water. And I'm like, there is more to explore here. Let us explore things that are not that snowflake. There is a lot more going on here, and the more people have awareness of this, the more betterment that they can find fulfillment in their lives as they go. I have had countless messages from different people on different snippets and segments of that exact chapter, and had massive discussions on their specific snippet. Because for different people, different things have hurt in their life, different things resonate, and different things make them cry. For you, it was that part. For other people, it was different parts. Joel, I'm not sure if you had a part in that particular section, but if you did, sure.
Yep.
Which
for
part?
sure. I mean, off the top of my head,
yes,
nothing like specific, but I just know that scene hit really hard. So,
that is plenty acceptable. The better thing I should be asking Joel is, which combats did you like most, and which mechanics did you want to see more of?
yeah, sure. So can we go into spoiler territory?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
We're
we
in
can.
spoiler
Joel, we are
territory
running
now?
kind of short on time. Just to give you a heads
Yeah,
up.
sure. So one of my favorite fight scenes is whenever he is in Eternium and he gets Halcyon's Tonfas.
Tonfas, book 789.
Yes. And he just goes ham on a bunch of demons. And he uses his Imperial fighting style or something, where he just like doesn't stop and he's just do.
10-ton Tonfas from Halcyon, and he uses the fighting style that Dawn taught him, the Incarnate of Fire, and that is called Pantheon style.
Yeah.
And that style is dedicated to do not stop. Go. Keep attacking, keep moving, keep them active and distracted. Don't let their commanders give orders. Do not stop attacking. Do not.
Yeah.
There were more do nots in that particular fighting style than there are do's.
And I want to interject here really quickly because I knew that was going to be one of Joel's favorite scenes when I was listening to it. Because when I play Diablo 3 with this man, he plays as a monk and he is zipping all over the darn map. I said to myself there, I'm trying not to swear as much, but he is all over the place. And I'm like, dude, quit teleporting. Let me catch up to you. And he goes, no, I got this. And he just
Yeah. No, there's a boss back over there. It can't be there anymore. It's not there anymore. Found another one.
So I'm like, and of course the monk in Diablo 3 is bald, has a beard, and I was like, it's Swoltorian. It's Swoltorian at this point. So yeah, I kind of was like, oh, yep, this is a Joel scene right here.
Yeah.
So your favorite? Continue.
It's just imagining Artorian with 10-ton Tonfas going super speedily fast through this army of demons. It's just, I love it.
The gravity Tonfas that hit harder when you swing them.
And then there's the ballista.
Your favorite part was the ballista?
I like the ballista, but my favorite part is actually his fight with Barry in Asgard.
Ah, the super speed.
Yes.
Well, okay, the fight with Barry. It's the entire second half of the book. It's half the book.
I know.
The amount of lead up to that fight took books and books worth of time.
It was
Because
so
by the end
good.
of Divine Dungeon, people were going, "What happened to this character?" And I'm like, "This is going to take so much explaining."
I
Also, the dude's an incarnate. I'm not an incarnate. Magic has to happen here. The author has to be clever for a hot second. Give moment. I got it. Putting him in the game.
all right. I do have a question, but I'm gonna wait until we're until after stream because I don't want to spoil it for anyone.
Sir, I do have questions for y'all as well.
All right, hit us with
Sure.
questions.
Favorite mechanic in the entire book series for both of you?
Well, I know I'm more of the mechanic guy, but
Yeah, either cultivation or something that happened in a fight or a move from a weapon.
hmm,
I'll say the firing the ballista with his feet. He was just like, nope, I'm just gonna stretch up and yep, there we go, firebolt.
When he took the sideways post,
Yep.
put the foot and
Pretty much
pulled it back.
The cover of artifact.
Mhm.
Yeah, that and for me it really picks up once he gets into Eternium. That's where I really like to strive because I like having the stat sheets. Like cultivation's really cool and I really like it, but I like seeing the numbers for it.
13, 14, and 15 are going to be your jam again.
Oh, I know, and I can't wait because
It's why I actually start giving you the building pieces of how Completionist Chronicles works and how the system is put together and how the base mechanics function. And I'm just like giving you Lego block at a time. Like, here you go, bud.
the
Here's how things
dyslexic
work.
child will be happy. I can't wait.
Have fun with it. Here's how you make classes. Here's how you make abilities. Here's how you balance them. Here's how damage works. Here's what's up with rarity. Here's a little bit on this particular statistic. Here's how this interaction works. And have fun, my friends. Come to me with your delicious stories.
So-
okay.
Joel.
I got it now. So it's not in Artorian yet, but my favorite all-time favorite mechanic of like Completionist Chronicles is the melding system where you meld skills and titles and
The Soul Forge?
yes, the Soul
That's an AA.
Forge. Is it an AA?
That's an
Yeah,
AA.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's my favorite mechanic of all time.
Joel, of course he's right. He's the author.
Yeah. I'll just take your word as gospel, man. I mean,
So there's two reasons for that. The first is that we don't like showing fans the same ability too particularly much because we feel like it gets stale. The second is, as we update our master Excel sheet and fix some problems we had with our math, some abilities just break and we can no longer use them. So unfortunately, we have to get rid of them somehow. And well, if we accidentally take it and put it in this melting pot and we have something else that's also really cool now, and we no longer have to use the thing that we can no longer use anyway, we'll make it again. We'll fix the numbers for next time. No problem. It'll be better the next time you see it. But for this specific version of the ability, we're just going to put this in the cooking pot and stir, and you didn't see that. Just enjoy the soup. Just enjoy the soup! Soup for the soup god.
And blood
Soup
for
for
the
the
blood
soup
god.
Not corn. No. No 40k just yet. Just yet. Eventually, I think I will put people in spaceships and power armor. We're not there yet. I see your
Yay.
eyes go big. Yeah,
I-
so eventually people have to exit Cal. Eventually they have to exit Cal.
Yeah.
I can't stay in Playground forever. We have to return to the real world. The people on Earth have to go into the Completionist Chronicles system to begin that book series. Everyone in Cal currently in AA has to leave and go back to the planet where essence is rapidly all coming back and giant monsters are coming out of the sea. And my guys have to go, "Ooh, okay. That's a big serpent. How, okay? And what's that? That's a car. What's a car? Well, you look it up on your phone, you're like, what's a phone? Mistakes have happened here, and explanations are going to happen. Hey, what's this thing? It's a light switch. It's amazing! It's a light switch. Click, 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 click. Okay, I see where this is going to go.
That answers some of my questions. Okay, that like I didn't even have to ask.
It's eventually the technology of today is going to be forcefully have to be integrated into the world of cultivation, because if the cultivators are on Earth and all of our stuff is here, and we have people that can disassemble something particle by particle to understand it, someone is going to dissolve an Apollo module. Hey, anyone want to go to space? I know how. What do you mean go to space? Yeah, you want to go to the moon? They did it. What do you mean the non-cultivators went to the moon? Yeah, they went to the moon in that thing. That's a tin can, and they did it using what? 64 bits of RAM? What is a RAM? How many animals do we need? Are sheep an acceptable substitute? Not what I'm talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about.
I
Do you
want
want to go to the moon?
I want to sit in on a production meeting with you and Dakota when you guys are just throwing ideas back and forth, because this just sounds like a fun time. I just want to sit there with popcorn.
It works exactly like this, as I'm doing exactly this, going through the motions of how the patterns would play out and how people would be reacting. I don't write Artorian's archives from the standpoint of, oh, I gotta come up with stuff. No. I see it happen in front of me, and I write up the casualty report. I'm just documenting events here. This has already happened. I'm just describing it to you in a good way. Because, oh, that's happening next. Oh, I'm going to preamble that because they're going to... okay. To me, all of these facts and events are a constant stream of information that keeps filtering and circling through the head, and I see it like a movie. And if there's a specific reel where I go, that's canon, I write it down. How do I get to 21 books so easily? I'm just writing up an event report, man. This is easy
amazing.
for me.
That is a really good way of looking at it. And I've never thought of it that way. That is really, really cool.
That's how it works for me. Born with a very vivid imagination. Finally a use for it. I've always spoken with my hands. I've always been very animated. I've always gone on off tangents of, well, if this to happen, then this happened, then that must happen. And if A and B are true, then C can be inferred. And if C can be inferred and be taken to be true, then D through G can... And we're off to the races, and all of a sudden we're in space with spaceships and giant crystalline lasers and space leviathans. And do I want to use aliens? I don't know if I want to use aliens. But the heavenlies are already on a plane somewhere going, this is not going to go well for us. No, this is going to go great for us. Are you kidding me? You're worrying too much. Look at them and what they're doing. This is amazing. Yes, but our tower laws are going to have to move floors again. Who cares? Thruster rocket fire. Okay, but what if we used Holy Fire instead? Holy Fire is going, I will totally be rocket thruster fool. What do you need from me? Well, they made this thing called a rocket and go, I'm in there. How fast do you need to go to the moon? How fast can you get to the moon? Now we're just in a competition, aren't we? Let's go.
It's a race. Let's do it.
Let's just have fun. And then I go to the Discord and look at the fans and go, hey guys, what do y'all want to see? Hordes of messages. Like, cool. I know what I need to focus on next as I work through my master Excel sheet of thousands of pages of content that needs to be organized and written. It's great.
I'm going to be really surprised if there's not a cat dungeon floor. Like just straight cats.
Do you mean a layer of existence or a floor in a dungeon somewhere?
Yes.
Eventually, it is explained to you the origin of a sphinx. And that will answer your question.
I can't wait, because if you can't tell, my friend actually made me my shirt, and it's myself and my cat. And my cat is a mage. So
it's adorable.
I love it.
Do you remember Grimaldus's familiar Sarcopenia?
Yes.
The Sphinx.
Yes.
That comes back up. And it comes back up in a way that makes Artorian hold his forehead. And Cal go, what the heck just happened? Someone explain. And the cat's like, what?
I love it.
It'll be fun.
So I have one last question before we start doing the wrap up.
Sure,
And this
let's
can be a
wrap up.
spoiler. You don't have to answer it, or you can. I won't be offended if not. Because I have not seen them since they have gone into Cal and Divine Dungeon. But they are obviously a big part in the Completionist Chronicles. The Wolfmen. Will they be making an appearance any soon?
Were they not in 10?
Did I miss them in 10? I've gone through so much content.
If they are not in 10, then they are in 11.
Joel, were they in 10?
The Wolfman?
Yeah.
I believe they were in 10. Obaba?
I don't
I don't think Obaba was in 10.
remember.
I'm going to do a re-listen tomorrow. I don't think Obaba was in 10.
I will quickly
because I just
have
finished
myself a look.
I just finished Wolfman Warlock Book 2, Libro Hexer, because it came out on audio, and Obaba's in that. I know that. I was like, I don't want to say that he was in it, and he was not. So I honestly can't remember. When I
I
say
just remember the first half of the book was him having his family reunion,
yeah,
and then
the last half is.
I'm looking at it for y'all. I'll have an answer in a minute or two. In the meanwhile, AMA style, is there anything you would like to ask me? At all?
I kind of already asked you this when we had our first discussion, so I don't want to rehash that.
No, you are welcome to.
I got one.
Okay, Joel, you hit me.
What type of affinities do y'all think you have?
Dude, you already told me I'm a Venom mage. We've been over this.
But it's different in Dakota's world. So like,
okay, if I got into completionist
what affinity
Chronicles,
channels do you think you have?
dude,
Air.
Yeah,
Fire.
I definitely say you're flighty and angry. So probably like air and fire.
I'm enthusiastic. So, the best way for me to write Artorian was to simply mimic events as I understood them and provide you context for how those specific affinity channels are gained, because that's mostly a self-insert. I began with air, Artorian begins with air, and I feel like the path is mostly the same. All the affinities, I believe, would be a problem for me because I would be stuck with some personality types. Wouldn't mesh well for me. But definitely air. I love lounging about, just breezing through the wind like a leaf. No problem all day, every day. Everything else, that requires effort. But floating along? Oh no. I can float along, no problem. My head is in the clouds so much, my mother makes jokes out of it. My affinity is air. Easy. What about y'all?
Infernal fire.
I would infernal fire. I would definitely say water and probably infernal.
Okay. Can confirm. Wolfmen are in book 10.
They are in book 10? What part?
Cool.
I'm going to go back and re-listen to it because now I feel ashamed.
If you are using Kindle, Control F Obaba.
I am using Audible.
That doesn't work.
No, I'm finishing up a book tonight. I only have an hour left, so I'm going to be doing a re-listen because I've listened to I think Axiom I listened to probably 3 times, just because like I would start it and then I would hop around because my ADHD decides, hey, we're not going to focus on one thing. We're going to focus on 30 other things, and every time something else comes out, ooh, shiny rock.
Also, admittedly, Axiom is my weakest book because it was my first book ever. And there was a slight miscommunication with the italics. My bad.
See, I only listened to the audio. I never actually read the Kindle version, so the italics.
So, in the written version, when I first started, writing, I was told that if I wanted the narrator to emphasize specific words, I should italicize those words.
Okay.
So I italicized a lot of words. And then Travis came back and went, I don't actually work this way. That was not the correct advice for me. There's a lot of italics in this book. And then fans came back and go, there's a lot of italics in this book. It's kind of off-putting. And I'm like, thank you for telling me 2 books too late. I'll fix it. Thanks. What's wrong with my commas? Oh yeah, that needs it. I'll fix it. What's wrong with my grammar? I'll fix it. Just keep telling me what I'm doing wrong English-wise. I'll fix it.
I will say the writing does get better as each book goes on.
I would sure hope so.
No, and that's not a bad thing or anything. The first book is a very slow burn, and that's how I've looked at the Artorian Archives series. Is the first arc is slow burn. It's a big setup.
It's a lot of diving into the mechanics of the world.
And not only that, but the world building. So we get to visit all these locations that we never really saw or heard of when reading Divine Dungeon.
Which I personally love.
Right.
But
we get to hear about different events. We get to meet different characters. And as the series goes on, there's characters in the Divine Dungeon series that we met but didn't get a lot of personality from. And now we get a lot of personality from them in the later books. And I love that because I get to learn more about Tatum.
And I'm so glad you're happy.
I love that.
Tatum. No, I will not tell you his law.
Oh, I don't want to know his law. I want that to be a surprise. I want that to be a surprise because when we meet him in Divine Dungeon, he's who he is. I don't want to spoil that, but he is who he is. And then when we get him inside of Cal and everything, and he's now under the name of Tatum, and I was like, hold on, where do I know that name from? It's Joe's God in Completionist. And I'm like, okay, now how do we get from point A of, hey, here we are, to the gods don't like me, and if people know that I'm your god, they will kill you on the spot.
I got you.
I can't wait. I seriously can't wait. That is like the question that is burning in the back of my mind right now, where I'm like, I need this.
Mm-hmm.
And
so I've got 3 answers for you.
Oh god.
1, there is a plan for the BB titled book series. In the small anthology, there was a small story about Butcher Boy, which is the very early life of the Master, and how he got the power in the first place, and the meeting, and why he is, in large part, the way he is. BB was planned as a full book series from the Coda of the Master story, where you actually get his law and his major motivations and some of all of the hidden backstory that people have been wanting for years now. But he's writing other books and he hasn't been able to get to it, and it's far on the back burner. But it exists in the list as something. 2, I totally agree with you. Book 1's a bit of a slow burn. The first 3 are a bit... Initially, I'll admit that was a little bit worrisome, because in this genre, you need to be fast, energetic, pop, 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 explosions. People want action and rising and stuff. Then it came out that, hey, the series is going to be 21 books plus, and everyone was like, what?
That would look really beautiful
That
on my
many?
shelf.
And I'm like, yes, that many. Are you still worried about those first 3 books giving you a nice slow burn into the bonfire? And they're like, no, we're happy about this now. If that's how many books are going to come on the shelf, I'm like, yes. Are you happier now? And they're like, oh yes, much happier. 21? But like 9 or 10 just came out. Yes, and I'm writing 13. You're writing 13? Well, 11 and 12. The art is being worked on. Why? Yet it's being worked on the back end. I'm just letting you know I'm not the bottleneck. I am writing book 13. You just keep telling me the things you want to keep reading about. I might just have Rube, and they're like... I'm like, this pleases me intensely.
Can confirm
third thing-
that was my reaction.
And the third thing is my series is as long as it is because it is meant as a spine and backbone for other people like me. Because I entered the code as DDE Universe, Divine Dungeon Extended Universe, and started writing in it with AA.
Mhm.
Rohan with LL is doing the same, and James Hunter and Dakota have been doing Wolfman Warlock.
Yep.
So it is completely the intent to eventually, when we have enough core information at play, to open the world up and go, would anyone else like to write in this universe? We've kind of made the groundwork for you. We have established how book titles work. Who wants KK? Send us
Okay.
fun things. And eventually that will open. So the big explanations in Artorian Archives for all of the systems are very much meant as a preamble to someone asking, I don't know how this works, and the fans on Discord can just go, Book 7, got you! Win!
It works.
And now all of these people that have been super hype about living in this universe are just going, I'm doing the right. More content for everyone. And since at minimum Dakota or I reads every single piece of work going into the DDEU, it'll be canon and it'll be good. We read it. What other last
Sounds good.
wrap-up questions would you have
Great
to
yeah,
have
we
for
need
me?
to-
Whew. Great celestial feces. That is amazing. I'm waiting for
Lots
the
of
Avengers.
content for lots of great people.
I'm just waiting for the Avengers Endgame level of a big showdown at this point.
Have you been happy with the ones that have been happening
Oh
so
yeah.
far?
Oh yeah.
People keep telling me that they're worried about a scaling problem with, well, you've gone so high, surely you can't go higher. People can't get more powerful. Things can't get more wild. And I'm like, I'm sorry, my friend, but on a scale of 1 to intense, Book 10 is at a 2.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about with the scaling thing. I'm down there still. I have an entire document on scaling. You're okay. Don't worry. You just enjoy.
Damn.
What else would y'all like to know?
I got nothing. I'm very content with the conversation we've had so far because that's a lot of information for me to process.
Rich is happy. I love Rich happy. Joel!
Yeah. I guess we're ready to start wrapping up, right, Rich?
I think we're about time because this is coming up on being our actual second longest episode we've ever had. And I love
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
There's a lot of good content.
What have you been reading recently?
What have I been reading recently? Or what is...
Both. I mean,
Dennis,
whoever
would
wants
you like to go first or...
I don't know who the question was addressed to. I'm sorry.
Both.
Both of us.
Rich, go first.
Okay. I have just finished reading Libro Hexer on Audible because that came out this week and I really enjoyed it. That's why I asked about the Wolfman because I've been really on that Wolfman like kick. The Trickster's Tale by J. Paul I finished. I picked up Sentence to Troll 4 because I did not have that, so I will be starting that shortly. And also I did
Can I
get
reach it?
through
I can't reach it.
Earthdom and oh, what is the fourth one, Joel?
Uh,
Oh, what is it?
equal.
Ether Collapse Book 4. What is the title? Because I'm going through my list of books and I'm like,
Equatorial.
Equatorial. Yes.
Yeah.
Because shout out to Ryan DeBruin.
Looks like it's equatorial.
Yeah,
Yeah, good job, Ryan.
we love Ryan DeBruin here. So, and also, nope, not gonna talk about that one. We're keeping this a PG show today.
Very well.
So that's what I've been reading. Oh, and I've also been reading the Get Good anthology on Kindle, which is a bunch of short stories in the Lit RPG community. If you haven't picked it up, it's worth reading.
Cool.
Dennis,
Four
what you
things
been
on my
reading?
end. So, unfortunately, due to the nature of how bookmaking works, 90% of my reading is my own work, editing, re-editing, re-editing, re-editing,
So Artorian's Archives.
making it good, making it palatable, reading things out loud. Most of my time is my own series, so I can make it good for y'all, so y'all keep enjoying it. because that's how we keep making y'all enjoy books. For the other 10%, I have been reading Beware of Chicken by Casual Farmer.
I want to
And
get
I'm
that.
deeply enjoying Casual's work. It is the down-to-earth, simplistic stuff that I wish I could slow down and get to with Artorian and can't, because too many big things keep happening that need explanation in short order. I would love to copy that setting and settle down somewhere and slow down and start slowly meeting people again, expanding from a nice space. Like, oh yeah, delicious, wonderful. But no, demigods have to fall from the sky and tromp around and wave rave lights around. That's what I have to deal with. Like, okay, fine. I won't complain. I'll just make it fun. Other than that, I recently almost finished the VGO subseries Heartfire Healer by Emily Godhand.
Oh, we love Emily.
And aside from that, my focus is on Sun Tzu's Art of War and Mencius. I love Mencius. His work on Sprouts and Virtue is mwah.
That's awesome.
Asian philosophers are wonderful. Mencius is probably my favorite one, beating out Confucius entirely. Don't tell him that.
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't hear anything. Hey, Joel.
Yeah.
Question now at you. What have you been reading, my friend?
So the main two that I've been reading or listening to this week, because we had our last episode a week ago, was Dissonance, the Unbound series.
Which is a new one out
Book
there.
one of that came out. Yeah. And then book two comes out really soon. And then also Mastering Magic, which is book three in the Manufacturing Magic series.
Troy Osgood.
And other than that, just getting ready for the show.
Cool.
Doing some re-listens to Artorian. Yeah.
Is this where I ask you my closing questions?
Yes.
Would you rather live in the cultivation setting or the completionist chronicle setting?
Completionist Chronicle setting.
Completionist. Yeah, probably.
What would your class be?
Oof.
If I could choose my own class,
I'm listening.
I would go with the Paladin because I like being, up front and being pretty much up close and personal, but also having that magic to use on an occasion. If Joel was picking my class, he would have me as a Venom Mage. I know for a fact he would have me as a Venom Mage. And it's not
Why
for
not
any...
both?
Ooh, melding.
Venom Mage Paladin.
So the fun thing about Completionist Chronicles is that the entire thing is intent-based.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a specific idea in mind of what something is, and you rank up and class up, it looks at you and goes, you think it's that? That's what you get. Okay.
I like the title system.
If you have a particular idea for something that doesn't quite exist yet, but you really want to do it and you've been trying, the system or one of the cores in charge of that area is going to look at you and go, that looks fun. Let's puts the gloves on. What's he doing? What's his intent? Oh, he wants to combine Venomancer with Paladin. Yes. I like that. It is done. And now you have to think of a fun title for it.
Venomin.
A Valadin? What?
Valadin or Venomin.
How?
I didn't actually hear the second word.
Venomin.
Venom-min. M-I-N? Why?
M-I-N.
Why the M-I-N? I can't follow.
Because of the Paladin. P-A-L-D-I-N.
Yeah, but that's a D-I-M. You're ending with an M-I-N.
D-I-N. Paladin.
Yes, and you said
Venomin.
M-I-N.
Yeah, M-I-N.
Interesting.
Just taking the last two letters of the Paladin and putting it on the Venom.
Interesting. Race.
Ooh, dwarf. Yeah, dwarf.
Dwarf. A dwarf Valadin, or whatever it is end up being called. Neat. Joel.
Yeah. Well, I want to say Well, okay, it's probably Sangomancer, but also with spirit, like controlling spirits and yeah, soul stuff.
You have lost me.
Um, so think probably like a shaman.
Early Bob?
Bob.
Bob made phantoms appear.
Is he? Who is Bob? Sorry.
Bob the Death Mage, goblin from Divine Dungeon, can do a lot of fun things.
Ah, yes, that would be cool.
And then there's Bob the pilot.
And
Bob-
then also Sanguimancy.
By which you mean blood of a kind?
Blood, yeah. I'm thinking like
So, blood
Death-
and spirits.
yeah.
a flesh mage.
So, bloody spirits?
Bloody spirits.
And what race are you thinking?
Some sort of beastkin?
Wolfman-like, but with another race as the other half?
Yeah.
What race? Fox, wolves, giraffes, camels.
I
Oh
don't
my
know,
god,
maybe
Joel, be a
like
giraffe.
A sloth?
Oh, a half sloth. Oh,
Why?
Because I'm a
That is-
sloth. Sloths
that
are my
is-
spirit animal.
I already see it. The sloth crawls across the wood. It looks upon its enemy. It raises its talons. Blood spirits rise from the graveyard grounds. The sloth hangs there and goes, "Good, my minions.
Here's the thing,
Good.
though.
Do the work I wish not to do. Go, my minions."
Floof, here's the problem. I know this is how it would work out because Joel would be in my party. I would have to carry his ass. He would be hanging on my back. I apologize for the language.
I understand.
I would have to carry him,
That-
and then there would be a pack of goblins or wolfkin or whoever, and I would have to be like, all right, set Joel down. I'm going to go smack them. You summon stuff.
Why?
And I'll just be like,
Your Valadin has a sloth backpack.
blood.
No, his
Minion.
sloth has a Valadin mount. That's how
This
it would
angry
work.
dwarf moseying across the plains with the sloth just going,
my
"Yeah,
goodness.
this is the life, man.
Dude,
this is the life. I'm just hanging around."
And it's like you could pick any. He could pick anyone in the party to carry on the back, but he's like, no, I'm gonna make Rich carry me because he's the one that would carry our team in Smite. Yeah, Joel, I went there. Anyways,
Now the fun part: pick a weapon.
ooh, I would probably have to go either one-handed shield if I had to pick a proficiency with said weapon. It would either be a sword or a mace. And then
Unique.
obviously my shield.
What kind of unique quality would this sword or mace have?
Unique quality would be like, would you talk like enchantment wise, like poison?
I rolled
or-
a die. I rolled the special magic die that tells me how fancy I can get with equipment, and I rolled unique.
Ooh,
You know how unique works in Completionist Chronicles.
yes, because it's common,
What do you-
rare, unique, epic, legendary. Is that?
Oh, there's a bit more to that, but fancy fun things. What does your sword or mace do?
How many properties do I get?
You don't worry about that. What is the fun thing you want it to do?
I would have to say that when I stab one enemy, it has the splash effect of when the blood goes out. If it splashes on another enemy, they get poisoned.
Joel?
I don't know. Probably my claws. Or maybe,
Oh,
like,
so
a
you
claw
would stay
extension.
with claws.
I don't, or like a scythe or something.
One-handed sickle.
You sound like you're going more mage buildy.
True. True.
What kind of a mage item are you thinking?
Maybe like a focus?
A focus. Excuse me. Oh. Joel, I need you to give me an absolutely insane idea for a focus.
Oh my god. I'm gonna.
Well, it's got to have a soul trap on it.
Be careful, or that'll be yours.
True.
Joel, give yourself a sentient weapon.
Sentient. How about a weapon?
Be careful with that
acts
as well, or your sentient weapon swiftly becomes him.
Exactly.
That acts like a legion, I guess. So like it takes on the properties of sort of like the katana blade from Katana in DC. Does that make sense?
No,
Have you watched Suicide Squad or?
I'm not familiar. No.
Okay, so Katana is a character in Suicide Squad, and she has a sword that has a soul trap ability, and it actually is holding the soul of her dead husband,
Hmm.
and she uses it to, trap other souls to rid bodies, essentially. So it has
have to-
it has a soul trap ability of anyone it kills.
And then I
Soul
can
trap.
use those souls to make my minions.
Would have to expend them somehow, but that's doable. So, I believe we have a channel in the Discord where we talk to one another. Send those to me. I have things to make.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
Is it bad I already have a
And-
name for the character?
And that's my wrap up.
All right.
I
So,
love making people toys.
oh, that is awesome. That
And
is
then the
awesome.
next time we talk, we can discuss your misadventures.
I'm scared now, but I love it. So, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping things up. And this is the fun part of the episode where we get to ask, hey, where can people find you? So, for example, you can find me over at Rich Dolphus on Twitter and also at Stats on Stats Lit on Twitter as well, because I'm the one who kind of runs that. I'm currently locked out of the phone, that Twitter on my phone, so I only have it on my desktop. So I'm a little scarce on the Stats on Stats part, but you can always reach me at Rich Dolphus on Twitter. You want to shoot me a message or just leave a comment under my one of my posts and say, hey, can you shoot me a message? Yeah, I can do that easily. No problem. And also here on Twitch at Stats on Stats, because Joel and I need to start doing our streams again. Hey, Dennis, where can people find you?
So while you technically can find me on Facebook, find me on Discord. We have a giant server dedicated to the Mountaindale products, the DDEU, Completionist Chronicles, Divine Dungeon, AA, everything Ryan writes, everything Dagny writes. It's all there. I live in that Discord server, and we specifically have a couple of channels where you can come talk to us. And we are more than happy to talk to you. So come on by to the Discord server. I'm sure a link will be provided somehow, and if not, we can get you one. Come have fun. We love talking to y'all.
We love to see it. We really do. Hey, Joel,
Yes.
where can people find you?
You can find Hunter. I am on Discord. You can hit me up on PlayStation. I don't really care. Yeah. Other than that, I don't think we mentioned our YouTube. Rich, do you have a link to that?
To the Stats on Stats Discord?
To the YouTube.
Oh, to the YouTube. I can post it over on the Twitter for Stats on Stats or my own personal Twitter. I'm also going to be posting it on my Facebook page as well. I'm going to be creating a Facebook page for Stats on Stats. Hopefully, I can be a little more active in that and try to build our community a little bit more. But
But yeah,
we do have a YouTube. We're only at I think 14 or 15 subscribers right now, so we don't get an actual fancy youtube.com/stats on stats or anything like that. It's a bunch of letters and numbers. But one last thing of kind of housekeeping. I didn't do this at the beginning of the episode. We do have some goals in place, like we said on previous episodes. Once we hit 150 followers here on Twitch, once we hit 15 subscribers on Twitch and 100 subscribers on YouTube, we're going to be doing giveaways. You have a chance to win either the complete up-to-date of a series. So if you wanted to do Artorian Archives, where we have 10 books available, you get to pick either the Kindle version or the audio version. Audio version is going to break Joel and I's wallet, but that is fine. We are paying for this because we love giving back to the community and, giving people new ways to interact with the new series they haven't started yet, or they started it and they're like, hey, I just want the rest of the series. So you have a chance to win in 3 different giveaways. Once we hit those goals, we'll start making announcements. Of course, Joel and I will be doing some giveaways on stream. We haven't gotten to do any sort of streams for gaming time recently because it's just been hectic. Life is getting to both of us. We have a few fun episodes coming up soon where we will be bringing Animosity Cat back on to discuss Shadow City and getting a promo done for Behind Blue Eyes audio drop that Sabu Theater is doing. We have James A. Hunter in the works of coming on. We just have to get that scheduled and set out, and we will have that. So be sure to keep an update or keep track of us on social media so that way when I say, hey, episode's coming out, you can tune in. And if you want to read the series beforehand going in so that way you can ask questions in the comments, you can. But for all things Lit RPG, cultivation, dungeon core, etc., this has been Stats on Stats. I hope you all have a wonderful night and weekend.
And